What's going on, people? I'm not gonna lie, y'all. I'm not in the best of moods while I'm recording this video, but not for the reasons y'all might expect. Now, frequent viewers of the channel know that when it's time to rant, it's time to rant. And while today's video is going to be a rant of some sorts, it's probably going to go down as one of my most conflicting videos to date. At least how I feel about the particular subject matter. Because I'm going to detail for you guys my time, or at least my attempt to play a game that just launched yesterday. And that game I'm referring to is Returnal. Now, for those who are unaware of what Returnal is, maybe you don't game on PlayStation, or you just have no interest in the game whatsoever, Returnal is the next game from developer Housemarque. Anybody who picked up a PlayStation 4 at launch is probably familiar with Housemarque because they are the developers behind Resogun. And I have a lot of fond memories of Resogun. While Infamous Second Son was doing its day one patches and installs, I booted up Resogun to see what it was hitting for, and I was pleasantly surprised with how much I was enjoying the game. So much to the point that even when Infamous had finished its download, I was still firing up a couple of rounds of Resogun. Like, Housemarque is very good at what they do with crafting really addicting gameplay. So, logic would dictate that I would be excited for Returnal. And while I wasn't as vocal about the hype for Returnal, considering I don't really hype too many games these days, because you guys know what happens. I mean, do we really need to bring up the yellow chair in the room? There was something about Returnal that even though I wasn't too excited about it, I knew it was coming from Housemarque, so it was going to be a day one. And talking about how different this game was going to be in terms of scale and scope, how this was going to be their first PlayStation 5 game, and not only that, it was going to be a next-gen exclusive. There was so much to get excited for about this game, especially in an era where, I mean, let's be real, it's kind of dry out in these gaming streets, especially if you own the next-generation consoles. They're both great, but we buy new systems to play new games, and we really haven't got a lot of them, but hey, we understand the situation the world is in right now. So Returnal had a lot more eyes on it than it normally would have. And that's just the nature of the dry spell that we're in right now. But there was something about the game that, I don't know, I had this weird sinking suspicion that something about this game would go wrong. But I didn't want to believe it. I had my pre-order already set. I was ready to download the game, play it at midnight, and play the game I did. And what I got out of it was, it was quite an experience, to say the least. Returnal, in terms of its gameplay design, I'm going to describe it in a very rudimentary way. Take Dark Souls, right? The difficulty, challenging aspect of live, die, live again, get good at the game. Take that, mix in the crazy, frantic, chaotic nature of Housemarque's games. Throw in Doom Eternal just because of how crazy it can get. Put that in third person. And also add in a sort of permadeath segment where if you die on this run, you lose all of your weapons, you lose all of your upgrades, you lose all of your perks, yada, yada, yada. And that's the core gameplay loop of Returnal. I know it sounds very weird, but if you watch some gameplay videos, you'll understand what I'm talking about. And for what it does, the game is very friggin' fun. I'm having a lot of fun with it, as I expected I would. But herein lies the problem. Returnal is not a stable game at launch. It isn't. Now, we've kind of grown accustomed to that, unfortunately, in the gaming industry. Well, with the advent of technology and internet and digital downloads, it's made it really easy for games to be brought from the developers to the consumers. And as we've seen, it's also been abused because as these games get bigger in scale and scope and they become more grandiose, the issues also manifest themselves as such. And Returnal has a couple of bugs and glitches. The game itself has been crashing for me. I've put about 3, close to 4 hours time into Returnal, and it's already crashed on me twice. Now, under normal circumstances, that wouldn't be too crazy. I mean, it happens. Shit happens in life. Anybody who's played an Elder Scrolls game or any game from Bethesda GameWorks, you guys, you know what you're in for. It is what it is, unfortunately. But with Returnal, it's different because, at least in those games, if you lose progress, you can just boot up your last save. Returnal does not have any type of saving system. No autosave, no manual save, none of that stuff. It's basically a game where you play it, you get as far as you can get, and if you die, you got to go back to the very beginning. And from what I understand, at later points in the game, they do have checkpoint systems, so it's not like you're going back to the actual beginning of the game. But herein lies the problem. When the game crashes, which it has done repeatedly, it's crashed twice for me, you lose all that progress, which depending on how long your runs are in the game, that could be anywhere from half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour plus. I've seen people stream the game, go 3-4 hours without dying a single time. They die, and then they lose hours worth of progress. And apparently this was done because this is the developer's vision. They did not have a save point system because this is the way they wanted to craft their game. Which, you know, hey, it is what it is. Not everybody has to like your creative vision, but if this is your creative vision and you stand by it, best believe there are going to be people who like it, and best believe there are going to be people who have the right to criticize it. This is not okay. It's not. Especially with a game that is glitching out at launch, right? I've had 2 crashes my time playing Returnal. So the first crash, it didn't even happen when I was playing it. My PS5 just crashed when I woke it up out of rest mode. And that's unfortunately a problem that exists with the PlayStation 5. It's something that Sony's working to address, but the rest mode bug issue is a thing. While it didn't brick my system, it did crash it to the point where I had to do a whole reset of it. And remember, when you reset the game, you go back to the very beginning. Compound that with the fact that Returnal is one of those games where, since there is no save system, when you close the game to do literally anything else, you could be playing the game, and let's just say, for example, your boy hits you up to play Cold War or to play Castle Crashers or whatever. You go accept the invite, you try to go back to Returnal, oh, you lost your entire successful run that you've been working on for the past 2 to 3 hours. The only way you could save your progress and do literally anything else in the world is to put the PlayStation 5 into rest mode. But at that point, you are, first off, handicapping yourself from doing anything else on your PlayStation 5, playing any other game. And second, you run the risk of running into the rest mode issues like it happened to me. I got to the very end of the first, what is it called? The biome, something like that. Like I said, I'm only 3 hours in. So I got to the very end of the first one. I knew what the first boss was going to be because I've seen all my friends post on Twitter. And I decided to put my PlayStation 5 into rest mode because it was getting pretty late at night. I'll go through it tomorrow afternoon. Tomorrow afternoon came, and I'm ready to boot up Returnal and continue playing the game because I'm seeing all these gameplay clips, and it looks friggin' amazing, man. I boot up my system, and it says, yeah, your PlayStation 5 crashed. And by that logic, that means Returnal is gone too. Sure enough, I loaded up the game, and yeah, I had to start from the very beginning. All right, you know, it's not too bad. I only lost like 45 minutes of progress. It's nothing crazy. Come on now. Go ahead and go for a second run. Very successful second run. I get to the boss. I have a really nice build on me, and I'm literally about to kill the boss. He's on the last health bar, right? And, you know, I'm just sitting there minding my business, having fun, and then the game crashes again. I've collectively lost now 2 hours worth of progress. And I understand what some people are going to say. Oh, well, Neo, just get further on into the game and you'll get to some of the checkpoints and, you know, this is the whole point of the game and yada, yada, yada. No. That is not okay. Listen, I don't know how it is for some of y'all, but a lot of us out here in the real world got other shit going on outside video games. And the fact that the game itself doesn't have a save system and the fact that the game crashes, whether it's system level or whether it's the game itself crashing, for you to lose that progress, you're not getting that time back. If it's something like a multiplayer shooter, like if I'm playing Apex with my boys, yeah, we're going there, we're running our sets, we're doing what we got to do, we're putting time into it, I'm breaking bread with my homies, but the game itself, it's not like I'm losing progress by playing for 2 hours and then all that stuff is gone because the system crashes. No. This is not okay. Like, Housemarque game design, what they wanted to do with this, I respect their creative vision, but at the same time, I have every single right in the world to criticize it, especially for a game that I paid $70 on. Guys, this was my very first $70 next generation purchase. $70. Well, with tax, more like $75. But $70, close to $100 on this game, that the whole gameplay loop is now compromised because the system and game keeps crashing. At that point, I don't even want to play the game anymore. I'll wait for them to patch it. And at that point, it becomes a commentary on, oh, great, now we can't buy games day one anymore because we got to wait for them to patch this, wait for them to update that. In the case of Returnal, the DLC costumes cause issues with the game. What? And apparently, Returnal is crashing not only because of the game itself having issues, but the PS5 console itself is somehow incompatible with Returnal. Housemarque had to get out there on Reddit and say, yeah, we're just waiting for Sony's response on this so they can issue an update. What? Like, I understand this isn't universal across the board, but there's a good amount of people who are experiencing these problems. And if it was something like a Skyrim where, okay, let's say theoretically you did lose progress because the game crashed, you can save every other minute in that game. It's got an autosave system, so you're going to be okay. But for a game like this, it really puts a bad taste in my mouth, especially when it comes to just gaming in general, that you have this really cool, interesting type of game that's really challenging, and it's a game that, you know, not a lot of people right now are doing. That game, the fact that you cannot recommend it because of the state that it's in, it's playable, but it's at your own risk. I feel like people should be talking about this. Just because it's not coming from a major company that spent 8 years hyping it up and they've got Hollywood actors to be main characters in the game, that doesn't mean that we should take our foot off the gas. Because this game launched at $70. This is the launch weekend and it's having issues. And if I could be critical about Outriders and its server issues, I can be critical about Housemarque and Returnal in this situation that it's in. Eventually, I will return to this game once it's fully patched and there's no type of issues where I can lose a lot of progress. But for the time being, I'm just going to play something else. So that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. Returnal itself is a very, very fun game. I love the core gameplay loop. I love the weapons. I just love a lot of stuff about it. The DualSense integration, phenomenal. 3D audio, oh my friggin' lord, it is great. But the time that it takes for me to even experience that and just this overwhelming sense of dread that I have while playing it, it's not something that I want to do when I'm winding down and playing video games. It just isn't. But that's all I got for y'all today. What do you guys think about Returnal if you are playing it? If you are interested in checking out Returnal, has this sort of swayed you away from buying it at launch? Or have you been playing the game for 20 hours straight and you guys haven't experienced any issues? Comment down below and let me know. And from me to you for now, my name is NGS signing out. And like always, I will catch you guys later. Peace.